And China's central bank has reduced the reserve requirement ratio for the second time this year. So why is it doing this, and what impact will it have in the United States? NTD's Chenny Wu talks to two experts.
China's central bank is reducing reserve requirements. It will lower the ratio by 0.5 percentage point on December 15th, releasing the equivalent of $188 billion. This is the second time this year it's changed the requirements. The bank says the cut is a regular operation of monetary policy and that it was done to better support the real economy.
Cutting the reserve requirement means banks don't have to keep as much money on hand than they used to. So say, for example, a bank had $100,000 on hand and the reserve requirement was 10%, they would only have to keep $10,000 on hand. The other $90,000 they can go ahead and put back into the economy by lending it out to people.
Nicholas Creel is an assistant professor of business law at Georgia College and State University. Creel says China's move is a sign of desperation.
It's pretty clear at this point that China's economy is much weaker than the government's formally letting on. I think it's always been in the back of our minds that their COVID-0 policy, shutting down entire factories and provinces to go ahead and get us to mitigate as many cases as we possibly can, down to zero, is making their manufacturing sector shut down for sometimes weeks at a time. That's taking a big economic toll.
Milton Ezrati is the author of Bite-Size Investing. Ezrati says they may not be that desperate.
If the Federal Reserve had done it in the United States, I think it would be a sign of some kind of desperation. But the People's Bank of China uses this particular tool, so I think I'm agreeing with the government in Beijing that this is probably misinterpreted.
Ezrati thinks China is eager to cover the damage from the Evergrande scandal as well as damage from other debt-burdened firms that aren't publicly known yet. And this decision carries big risks.
It encourages borrowing, and China already has a great deal of debt. By giving the banks more facilities to lend, you have more borrowing. That's one risk. The other is ultimately down the road. By freeing up more liquidity, by effectively putting more money into the economy, you run the risk of inflation. And China's a command economy, but it still runs that risk.
Ezrati says China's decision helps the United States. The more active China's economy is, the more buying there is in the U.S. Chenny Wu, NTD News.